Yep, Judge, we have, we're just gonna wait. Yep, there was both, yep. Judge, we have Nora Nelson in court here today. Defendant defaulted on 3 open BMC matters on May 6, 2024. On docket 3281, $500 was forfeited by the court.
Good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. It's Elise for the Commonwealth.
Good to see you. Are you asking for any additional bail on these matters?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, I'm asking for $100,000 on each docket. GPS, stay in Massachusetts, surrender passport, and home confinement. Your Honor, would you like me to go into the 3 facts of this case and then why I'm asking for such high bail?
Yes.
So, Your Honor, as to docket 24342, the facts of that case, and that's the older of the matters that happened in September of 2023, is that the victim and the defendant were in a dating relationship. Police had been called to remove the defendant from his home. When speaking with the victim stated that the defendant before he would pay rent to him, but that he wanted her removed from the residence. He stated that they had been in a dating relationship and she had been staying with him for the past 6 weeks, but as of now they are no longer dating. The victim told police officers that the defendant was from Texas. The victim stated that the defendant had been threatening him and he did not feel safe with her in the home. He stated that the defendant asked to stay with him temporarily and that she needed to find a new lease. And apparently that is why the Boston Police Department did not remove her after this incident, Your Honor. They say that she had established residency at the home. The defendant had thrown, in this case, a TV remote at the victim and started yelling at him, saying that she wasn't going to leave, that she was going to leave when she was good and ready to, and that TV remote was destroyed. And those are essentially the facts of that case, Your Honor. The facts of the 23328 and 24341 dockets, Your Honor, is it is the same victim. Officers respond to a domestic at an apartment on Com Ave. The victim stated that his ex-girlfriend, the defendant before you today, Nora Nelson, had been living with him and that she was supposed to move out in October. The victim stated that the defendant came home from a night of drinking and knocked on his bedroom door trying to speak with him. The victim refused. The defendant continued this for about 45 minutes. At one point, the victim heard the defendant throwing up and heard some large crashing noises and glass smashing. The victim entered the room. Defendant was in, and defendant came and entered the room. The defendant came running at him, pushing him back, knocking him off his feet, hitting him against the door frame. While the victim was on the floor, Nelson stood over him and said, and I quote, Your Honor, "Get out of this fucking room now. Leave me the fuck alone, or you know what will happen to you." It was at the time that the victim exited the residence and called 911 from outside. Officers respond to the incident, and when they arrive, the defendant is sleeping in her bed. They are able to wake her up. She's immediately uncooperative, Your Honor. She stood up from the bed screaming to officers to leave the house. She abruptly ran out the bedroom in the direction of the victim, who was on the first floor. Officers stood in between the defendant and the stairs, the victim being downstairs. The defendant walked into officers attempting to move him out of his way and get to that stairs, which at the point the officers tried to physically restrain her with handcuffs. She began to kick officers on scene and did bite an officer who needed to seek medical attention. And those are essentially the facts of that case, Your Honor. Your Honor, the reason I am asking for such high bail in this removal is for the following reasons. Your Honor, on February 2nd of 2025, at around 10:43 p.m., officers responded to Shipway Place in Charlestown for an incident on a houseboat, and it was an individual who had died. Defendant was on scene. She was placed under under arrest for these warrants. The medical examiner still needs to conduct an autopsy of this death to determine and rule exactly what this death is. At this point, the defendant is a person of interest and in this suspicious death, and until that autopsy is performed, it cannot be ruled a homicide, but it is a suspicious death, and the defendant was on scene of that death in Charlestown.
Is she charged in that case?
She has not been charged yet, Your Honor, because the medical examiner still needs to do the autopsy. It's just a suspicious death right now. It can't be ruled anything else until that happens.
Why should I take that into consideration if she's just the suspect?
I understand, Your Honor. So she was the only one on scene, as I said, Your Honor. It is a suspicious death. And I will tell Your Honor, it is a different victim. It's not the same victim in this case. But again, I can't say that it is a homicide as of now because the medical examiner needs to rule it as so. But it is a suspicious death. And Your Honor, a few more reasons why I'm asking for such a high bail. The defendant before you was born in Tennessee. She has warrants out of Texas and cases pending in Texas. She's defaulted on this case, and there is a potential of another charge coming. She has not been charged yet, which is correct, Your Honor. If I can just turn to her III record out of the state. She has 2 warrants out of the state of Texas. I called the sheriff's office in Texas, McKinney, and spoke to their bond department. The 2 warrants are failure to identify herself and giving false ID. And the second one is a resist arrest. These are both Class A misdemeanors, which is the highest misdemeanor in Texas. However, they're not extraditable. They are bond warrants, and the person in the sheriff's office in Texas told me they're bond warrants because she didn't go to court in Texas. So, Your Honor, she has failed to go to court in another state. There is a false ID she's been charged with, so that does say that she might try to attempt to change her identity. She also will answer for her court cases in numerous states out here in Massachusetts on these cases and in Texas. And she also has ties in Tennessee. The warrants, Your Honor, out of Texas are very recent too. They're from December 20th of 2024. So they're very recent cases that she did not appear on. And it's for those reasons, Your Honor, that I'm asking for such high bail, for GPS, state of Massachusetts surrender passport, and that she remain in firm.
Thank you, Your Honor. Please, more for the defendant. Your Honor, I would mirror what you said in terms of these being a person of interest. It's not even an accusation. There's been no charge filed. This is kind of bootstrapping, trying to hold my client because they think or they speculate that she might be involved in this Charlestown matter. I don't think that should be taken into consideration at all. She has no prior record in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. The Texas records are very hard to read, but those are mere accusations at this point in time. She hasn't addressed them, and she will address them in due course. She is 24 years old. She is single. She tells me that she was a naval contractor at Fort Meade in Baltimore for 4 years and creating technology for missiles. She told me that she's a graduate of Central High School in Tennessee and the University of Maryland with a bachelor's degree in computer science. And she said she's currently interning at Harvard creating a technology product. She's in good health. No history of reported mental illness or mental disease. No issues regarding substance abuse or misuse. Your Honor, in terms of addressing why she didn't come to court, why she defaulted, she described to me a process which I recognized right away as being a process that seemingly was a tender of plea. She even knew the name of the assistant district attorney who was in this court at that point in time and is subsequently left and gone to Superior Court. So she remembered the name of the assistant district attorney and her attorney's name, and that what she described to me was seemingly a continuous fighting field for a year with conditions, and as long as she could get into any further trouble, the the case would be dismissed at the end of that year. She described that to me, and she told me that she signed the tender form. I did ask the clerk to take a look and see if it were in the file. I don't believe it is, but perhaps it's in her attorney's file as something that they were going to do on the next court date, which she misconstrued as being happening that day. So that's why she didn't come back to court. She thought that the matter had been continued without finding a guilt. Your Honor, she's not making any money right now, and she doesn't have assets to pay a bail. If you're going to set a bail or set a reasonable bail based upon the facts of this case alone, not some speculation that down the road there may be further charges, suspicious person of interest, set a bail appropriate to these three charges.
I am going to set bail in the amount of $2,500 in all three cases, and that's because of the fact that she was previously on bail. She posted $500, didn't appear, that was forfeited. She's got the record from out of state, and some question about her identification. So I have some concern about her coming back to court. So I'm going to set it at $2,500 on all three, which makes it $7,500 total.
And Your Honor, are you going to set any conditions surrender passport state of Massachusetts? GPS will provide that?
I'll do the GPS, where she's to stay away from the location of the offenses on this case. I'm not going to be home confinement or surrender passport. What day would you like to come back?
May we please have February 27th.
It's not a good day.
March 3.
I'm not sure what.
Yes,
Right, sure it is.
on what week?
Um, 3, 4, 1.
Nora Nelson on docket 23 CR 3281. Attorney Denise Moore has been appointed to represent you in this matter. Default has been removed, no fee has been assessed. You've given notice of warrant cancellation. You're being held on $2,500 cash. Due back that date of March 3rd. That's for a further pretrial hearing, court room 14 at 9 a.m. As to docket 24 CR 342, default has been removed, no fee has been assessed. Attorney Denise Moore has been appointed to represent you. You're being held on $2,500 cash. Due back that date of March 3rd for a pretrial hearing. And the last docket before the court, 24 CR 341. Attorney Denise Moore has been appointed to represent you today. Default has been removed, no fee has been assessed. You're being held on $2,500 cash. Due back March 3rd for a pretrial hearing, court 14 at 9 a.m. And as to that matter, your condition of your release is GPS to be installed prior to release. Thank you. Yep, exclusion zone as to the posting of.
Your Honor.
Thank you. I'm going to take a 5-minute recess.
Court will stand in recess.
Court will rise.